everyone, this is Tim, and today we're going to talk about retainers and troop style play. So what is a retainer? A retainer is usually someone that is lower level than you, a henchman, a minion, someone that does the dirty work for you. Maybe they hold the torches, maybe they just do various things for you that you don't want to do. You normally pay them, but sometimes these retainers sign on for this duty just to be near your presence. Maybe you have a reputation, maybe people know you, they know that you survive more times than not when violence ensues, that sort of thing. Maybe you're very charismatic and you've been spreading the news of your faith, so you have people that want to help you in your endeavors, those sorts of things. Now, retainers are something that I've never really used for the history of my gaming life. The only time I've ever used them was in my Labyrinth Lord Mega Dungeon campaign that I did some audio recordings of. And it was suggested in the Labyrinth Lord rules that there are retainers and you can have them, you can hire them on, that sort of thing. So I wanted to really give it a shot. And it didn't say this in the rules, but the way I handled it was that these retainers would be role-played by the players at the table. And my thinking on this is that as a GM, I will play lots of different NPCs. So why couldn't a player do that too? In some way, they're like an NPC that the player plays. They still have their main character, but they also have this other character that they will play too. And my only caveat for that was if they would make this retainer go beyond the call of duty time and time again, that retainer would either quit, leave, and I believe even Labyrinth Lord had some rules for that, you start getting a word of mouth that you're kind of a bastard and you treat your employees like shit and that you shouldn't work for this guy and you shouldn't help this guy out, that sort of thing. But other rules that I did when XP got handed out, the main characters would get full XP as a member of the party, and the retainer would get half XP. And another thing I did in that campaign, and it was the lethality was a little bit higher in that game, and I wanted to have a way for the players to not have to start out at level 1 again with a character. So they would have their main character, and then they have this retainer that in some ways was like an XP bank that they could, if they kept them alive and they didn't treat them like shit, if their main character died, then they would have this other character to fall back on that, was probably half the level they were. But that's just the way I did it. Maybe in your campaign, it's more of a troop style play where they're not necessarily retainers, but they're a full-fledged character that gets full XP. And if that when that player has one of his characters die, he has another one right there that's been part of the story or entered in the story later on. And they have some reason for being there. It's not just somebody, walking out of the woods or coming into the city. But in my game, I had that happen too. When, one of the main characters would die or the retainer would die, the idea was that everyone had like 2 characters to play, and they would start out with a fresh first level character. But again, you don't have to do it that way. You can do it any way you want, have, characters start out at certain levels, that sort of thing. I just like when characters have that progression from, farmer, hick, to eventually becoming an adventurer. I like that, the heroic journey, the slow increase instead of, starting out all powerful. But, opinions vary, tastes vary, that sort of thing. There's been a couple other videos about troop style play, and I believe Runeslinger, this might even be a response to his video if I can find it, where he talked about troop style play that I believe started off in Ars Magica, but I could be wrong, where you have 4 or 5 characters that you as a player control. Maybe you have different servants. Maybe there's a guard or a soldier that travels with you. And what's nice about that is that, especially in games where you split up more often, maybe there's more politics involved, or there's different things that need done at various places around the same time, that's when troop style play really shines through, because you have all these different options. You send your your guard out this way to take care of, some messy business, and maybe you send like your thief slash spy guy to go over and get some dirt on this person over here. So it has a lot of advantages, and I think people could do that. And again, I think sometimes we don't give players enough credit. We don't give them enough to do. I know in some of my previous videos I've talked about when I'm a player, after being a GM for so long, sometimes I'm bored because I'm used to having all the pistons firing off at the same time, and I'm not used to, okay, my turn's over, what do I do now? And I've been trying to work on just listening, being quiet, just enjoying the atmosphere and the story that's going on around me. But it's something that's there. It's something I have to consciously try to work on. I think this is my video on GM skills and player skills. So have you ever used troop style play, and what kind of results did you have? Have you ever used retainers, and how did that work out for you? In my Labyrinth Lord Darv's Hill game, I really liked the way that retainers worked. In the end, it was like having another character. They just had a little bit of a penalty for XP, and it was a lot of fun. It was neat seeing the different players, try different voices, have different personalities for each character, and it gave them more to do. They could have one character go off on their own and the other one would stay back in safety if that's what they wanted to do. There were a few times when some of the players threw their retainers into situations, and I brought the GM veto power down. I said, okay, I'm taking control of your retainer here for a second, because there's no way in hell that guy's doing that for you. He's not going to put his head into that stone sarcophagus with the giant claws. He's not going to put his head in there to get the gem that you want to get out of there. Those sorts of things. If there was too much, I would just say there's no way that guy's doing that. So that's a little caveat to throw out there. So yeah, I'd be looking forward to hearing some responses or just some comments below on how retainers have worked, how troop style play has worked for you with all kinds of, the players having all kinds of characters to mess with, and just how it worked out, I guess. That'd be kind of cool to hear. I would also like to hear if this is something that you've never done, but you might implement in a future game, or maybe a current game that you're running now. Maybe one night all the players show up and they have another character sheet where they normally sit, and they're kind of looking at each other like, what's all this about? And like, oh, that's another character that you're going to be playing. Or have them generate another character one night. Or through email, perhaps, or if you're playing by Skype, just sometime before the game starts, come up with another character. It might be fun to see what your players react and what they do with them. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.